From the Belmont County Fairgrounds, it's high school football on WTOV TV9. The ball is on the tee, and tonight you're going to see the Bellaire Big Reds, who are 1-2, and the St. Clairsville Red Devils at 2-1. And we're ready for football. Don, you and I were chatting a couple of minutes ago. This really is a statement game for the St. C program at this point.
It is, I think so, without a doubt. I mean, this is the measuring stick for the St. Clairsville Red Devils if they can come up and get this win against the Bellaire team. That Georgia, I don't think they've beaten Bellaire since, back in 1991. Reading the paper today, most of the prognosticators look at St. Clairsville calling them the favorite, but after St. Clairsville's got to go out and do it on the field, and now's their chance.
Ball in the air, Joey Mosslander kicked off for the Big Reds. And on the return, only to the 15-yard line. I think that was Nick Shanks on the return. Adam Quirk, Brett Jordan, Brian Gosset, Shanks, Ryan Ralston, and Luke Mell, the skill package on the Devil offense. Interior lineman for St. C, Hudson, Martinick, Marchesio, Hill, and Lofton. Mark Boner in his 4th season as the head coach here. The former offensive coordinator of the Bellaire Big Reds. They send 3 wideouts, split to the far side, and bring a man in motion, which leaves Quirk alone. He throws, has a man wide open at the 20, the 25, over the 30, and horse collared out of bounds at the 37-yard line. So St. C stretched the whole field right there, and the big connection on first down, Brian Gosset. They just had too many people to defend out in the secondary, Don. Opening moments of the first quarter. St. C right away with a first down out to the 37, got him out of a hole. Now they've got trips right again with a single setback. Bellaire showing blitz. A little end around. Despite the fact that somebody missed a block, they still get about 7 or 8 yards out of the play.
Yeah, and that was Chase Orem on the carry. You saw Brett Jordan with a big pickup on the first play. This time was Orem, and St. Clairsville, same formation, but a different play coming out of it. And the Red Devils trying to spread things out, and you'll see them put the ball up a lot tonight. Adam Quirk, the leading passer in Ohio Valley. I think he's got over 700 yards passing. Quirk, a big play guy for this Red Devil offense. But the thing that has beaten Bellaire in the 2 games this year is teams that have run the football right at them.
Out of the I formation for the first time. The give to the tailback. I think this will be short of the first down, and I believe Brett Jordan got the call. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 1 for the St. C Red Devils here in the opening moments of the first quarter. No score. St. C in all red. And there are the Bellaire Big Reds as we look at their defensive starting unit. Huston, Stevey, who played very well against JM. We saw him a couple of weeks ago. Maupin and Sherwood, the front 4. Thoburn, Mamie, Littell, and Frizzi, the linebackers. Mosslander, Stemkowski, and Barnes in the secondary. 3rd down and 1. Good second effort for the first down across the 50-yard line. They had him bottled up in the backfield for a loss. But it's a first down, St. C.
And that was Brett Jordan. Great effort by Jordan. 3rd and short. He runs up in the line of scrimmage. Gets popped actually a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Kept fighting and got that extra burst for the first down, which puts it into Bellaire territory down at their 47-yard line. So after seeing trips formations on the first couple of plays, they went to the I and it ended up working out there. Now they go back to the trips, which is how they started things out.
And they bring a man in motion to the near side. Gosset. Shotgun snap, ball thrown over the middle of first down to the 30, down to the 26-yard line, and they're mixing it up very nicely here on the opening series. That is Mell. Luke Mell, of course, everybody knows who his dad is here in Belmont County, the former All-Pro of the New York Jets, Lance Mell, who is an assistant coach at St. C, played his high school ball at Bellaire, and resides and coaches now here in St. Clairsville.
And Luke's a pretty nice target. He goes 6'4", 200 pounds. A target that you'd like to see as a tight end. Good blocker, good receiver.
Red Devils out of the I formation. 1st and 10 at the Bellaire 26. A lot of movement, but no flags in the air. And on a 1st down carry right up the gut, a gain of about 6, maybe 7 yards on 1st down. So they're doing a good job of keeping the defense honest right here, and Brian Gosset slashes through the middle and gets 7, and this is how, Don, as you pointed out, teams have been hurting Bellaire in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Well, Indian Creek did it on the ground. You saw Wheeling Park last week do it, and the running games, that's what Bellaire's got to do. Their win came against John Marshall in just a passing shootout game that Bellaire prevailed in.
In motion is Jordan. And that leaves Gosset, who turns the corner. He's got a 1st down and steamrolls a defender. Was that Chase Orem?
That's Brett Jordan.
Brett Jordan.
So Jordan moving the sticks once again. We'll take a look at it on the replay.
There's Jordan in motion going the other way, Don. That's
there you go,
31 on the carry. Look at that lowering of the shoulder and steamroll job administered there by Jordan. Or Gosset. All right, here they go on a 1st down, and it's Gosset again, and he's strung out along the 10-yard line and gets very little, perhaps a yard. 2nd down and 10. Bellaire did a real nice job defensively in the second half against John Marshall in the game. You know, if we're basing it on what we saw, Don, Bellaire got a chance to have a heck of a football team. But the 2 games we didn't see, they did not play nearly as well. 2nd down and about 9. Ball at the 10-yard line. Throw and incomplete. Quirk had a man in the end zone, and that was Brett Jordan. You saw the defender up in his face. 3rd and long here for the Red Devils. So they did a great job to come some 75 yards to get in this position. Have eaten up over 5 minutes of clock time. Now look at a 3rd down in confined space here to try to smack it into the end zone. Quirk in some trouble, runs outside, gets a block. And will get shoved out at about the 6 or 7 yard line. That'll bring up a tough situation here for St. C, because they'll be placing the football all the way over to the right hash. If they attempted a field goal, it would be from about the 12-yard line, would be a 22-yard attempt. But Quirk is on the field and in the huddle. They are not interested in a field goal. St.Clairsville will go. 4th down and 5 from the 5. They could get a 1st down inside the 1-yard line. Here's a pass. Incomplete. Receiver wide open. And they could not hook up with Brett Jordan. They ran a perfect play, and everything was executed with one minor problem.
He didn't catch the football.
They didn't catch the ball.
3 receivers split out to that side, and they were trying to get to Jordan. The pass falls incomplete. So St. Clairsville moved the football. It's kind of that bend but don't break. And for the Bellaire defense, and if you look back, the 3rd down play was really the key when they put the heat on Quirk. And just like they did in the game against John Marshall, Bellaire, when they let their ears get pinned back and rush, they can have a very fierce pass rush.
Speaking of pinned back, that's where Bellaire is offensively right here at their own 5-yard line, and they'll try to work Courtney Redman, and he'll get a yard, if that. Redman has shown us a burst of speed, and he's had some big plays already early in the season. Hasn't carried the ball that many times, but when he has made the most of it.
Yeah, he's averaging about 9 yards a carry, George, and we see here a good burst from him. as he tries to turn the corner against John Marshall. Some big runs, a big gain, a big run over 60 yards last week against Wheeling Park. What impressed me in the John Marshall game was how quickly he hit the hole against the Monarchs.
Materkoski nowhere to go, and on consecutive plays, St. Clairsville has swarmed around the football. All right, here is the Bellaire offense. Again, Matt Materkoski, he is definitely the figurehead of this whole show. Littell, Redman, Baldwin, Stasky, and Thoburn. LaRoche, Tobin, Bates, Sherwood, and Maupin along the front. 3rd and 7 from the 10-yard line. A look at the Red Devil players along the sideline.
And you see how Bellaire spreads the offense out here. What this does, it opens up the room for Materkoski to run, but he's going to throw it here.
And he airs it pretty good. Incomplete. Had a man down there, a half a step on Nick Shanks, who was the defender on the play, but they were unable to make the catch.
Here's another look at it. Materkoski puts it out there looking for his man. And pretty good coverage over there by Shanks as the pass falls incomplete. But that's how Bellaire really started to make their comeback against Jamin in that game. Was Materkoski. He can really hurt you with his legs as well as his arm.
Shanks is back. And Mosslander will punt it away. A high snap. The punt come out to the 47-yard line. And the return back inside the 40 and down to the 39. On the return for St. C was Mitch Riddell. No score on the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard. You're watching high school football on WTOV TV 9.
Thank you for watching the WTOV9 Game of the Week between the Bellaire Big Reds and the St. Clairsville Red Devils. The WTOV9 Game of the Week is brought to you by
St. C does not have far to go. They start at the Bellaire 39-yard line. Well, we got to look at this on a replay because they are calling this a lateral recovered by Bellaire. And I've got to see this again because the first thing that went through my mind was that this is a forward pass. All right, let's see. Quirk, let's see where this thing lands. That's pretty close.
I think that's a good call. I think that's a lateral.
It might be, and one of the Big Reds pounced on it over by the Bellaire bench over there. Very, very tough call, but one that goes against St. C, and now the Big Reds have the football, and Materkoski is racing through traffic for a first down to the St. C 45-yard line.
And I don't know about you, George. I think Materkoski was supposed to hand it off. It'll mix up in the backfield. He kept it and just decided to run with it. As we had the Bills-Titans lateral there, huh?
Yeah, and honestly, from this angle, when he threw it, I was thinking, well, that's going to be an incomplete pass. He just overthrew his man. But Bellaire kept after it, and they have the football. Here's the pass. It's caught. First down inside the 35 and down to the St. C 32-yard line. On the reception, that'll be Rocky Thoburn.
Just Materkoski out of the gun. He's going to roll right. He's got a lead blocker in front of him. And there's his man Thoburn. Nice catch, hauls it in for another first down for the Bellaire Big Reds. We've got 5:09 on a running clock in the first quarter.
All right, they mark the football at the 34. 1st and 10 for the Bellaire Big Reds. No score. 4:55 to go here in the first period. And the run is through the middle. And they'll clip off about 4 yards on that play. Defensively for St. C, it looks like this. Powell, Hudson, Mell, and Hides, the front four. Udash, Marchizio, and Slavik, the linebackers. Riddell, Slavik, Chemo, and Orem in the St. C secondary. They fake the delay, and Materkoski keeps. He's got a first down at the 21-yard line. So St. C missed a chance to get the early jump, and now the Big Reds are making some noise as they are on the move.
Here's Steve Materkoski. They fake the delayed draw, and here he goes. All he's going to do is running for the corner, looking for that first down. Nothing going there. Stretches it out, and just making guys miss. Makes two guys miss him, and then gets in there and gets enough for the first down.
Bellaire first down at the St. C 21-yard line. Here's a quick pitch to the outside. This is Redman looking for the corner, and they come up and they meet him at the 20-yard line. And a good angle and pursuit and tackle made there.
Yeah, the Red Devils did a nice job stretching things out. Nate Slavik was over there along with Luke Mell. And from that spot, Mell's just got to turn things in. That's his job. That's his duty on this play. And Mell gets over there, ends up just missing him, but then Slavik comes up to make the stop.
Forward to the 20, second down and 9. That is St.Clairsville in all red on defense. And here is Bellaire with Materkoski in the shotgun to fake of the handoff. Now Materkoski zigs and zags inside the 15. Down to the 12 he goes. It'll be very close to the first down.
Materkoski doing it, getting it done with his legs once again, as we've seen on this drive. Nice pick up there that will bring up a third down and about a yard or two. There's the John Magistro, head coach of the Bellaire Big Reds.
In his 17th year as the head coach here. Big Reds with postseason appearances in 1993, 95, 96, and 97. Materkoski just going to stick his head down and go inside the 5. Materkoski has a touchdown. Materkoski 12 yards for the touchdown, and the Big Reds take a 6-0 lead.
Nice run, good effort by Materkoski, but formations lead to things, and you see here out of the gun, run all the way. He's going to tuck it, makes the guys miss, and that's what he's very good at. You can see two tacklers missing. Things are spread out. That opens things up for Mr. Materkoski.
Well, he's got some change of direction skills, does
sure
he not?
Does.
And they'll go for two here. And nothing tricky. Materkoski cuts it back. He's in the end zone, and it is good for 2. So they're just going to spread him out and let him do his thing. Timeout on the field with your score. On the DeFelice Brothers scoreboard, it is Bellaire 8, St. C nothing. A hint of autumn here at the Belmont County Fairgrounds tonight. Bellaire leads 8-0, but you've got those kind of gray autumn clouds in the sky tonight that you only kind of get to see that kind of thing when the weather's like this. And it's very autumn-like. Still a week of summer left, but it feels like football season now. Mosslander kicks it. And this is big trouble back here as Brian Gosset tries to find somewhere to go. And when he let that get over his head, it was trouble. They'll have to start from their own 7. So St. C had it all the way down, had a 4th and goal at the 5 and went for it. Held Bellaire. After a punt, they had the ball at the Bellaire 39-yard line. Immediately turned it over on a lateral that was recovered by the Big Reds, who navigated some 50 yards for a touchdown. Once again done, Bellaire got to be feeling pretty good about themselves against St. C, and the Red Devils got to start questioning some things here. They haven't beaten Bellaire in quite some time. First down, and it's going to be short yardage for Gosset.
Just looking for some breathing room here, giving it to Gosset on the handoff on the right side. There's see Quirk.
It's pretty obvious, Don, what Bellaire's looked at film in their 2 losses and realized what they've got to do, or people are just going to keep grinding them down. 2nd down and 8. Ball at the 10-yard line. Adam Quirk, the junior quarterback, 6 feet, 170 pounds. And they've got to burn a timeout right here because they had a couple of guys out of sorts. 1:54 to play in the first quarter. Bellaire on top here, 8-0. You've got Buckeye football here later on this afternoon. The Ohio State Buckeyes favored by 23 against Miami of Ohio, and they'll kick it off at noon.
And that won't be any cupcake game for Ohio State. You know, Miami's going to come in sky high. They were pretty impressive the other week, I believe, against Vanderbilt. And the Buckeyes that came from behind last weekend to beat Arizona. So, you know, the Buckeyes might have a little jet lag after the trip to the West Coast last week.
And we are your Summer Olympic station. Coverage from 4:30 to 6, from 6:30 to midnight, and again after the newscast from 12:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. right here on WTOV TV9, your Summer Olympic station here in the Ohio Valley. All right, the Red Devils to the line of scrimmage with a 2nd down and a long 7 from their own 10-yard line. Again, 3 wides to the right and a little end around. This worked for some yardage before, but somebody took an offensive player and shoved him right back into the face. And Brian Gosset was unable to get much out of it. Was that Chase?
Yeah, Chase Orem really, Bellaire went in there, wreaked a little havoc, and Orem on the counter ends up running into one of his own players. See them pull, he's got the pulling guard right in front of him, but then Bellaire's just going to come in a wave and just start knocking St. C guys back into the backfield.
Incomplete.
Yeah, great play by Stemkowski. Quirk was looking all the way to his left side, looking for his man, and Stemkowski, great effort to knock this pass away. Here's Quirk, no doubt here, looking this way all the way, and Stemkowski comes right outside of your pitcher and ends up knocking away the pass. That was intended for Brian Gosset. Well, the Big Reds can be set up for good field position once again with St. C punting from their own goal line.
The kick is in the air, and it's a short one, fair caught at the 39-yard line. And that's where Bellaire will put it in play at the St. C 39 with a 1st and 10 and a 1:07 showing here in the first quarter. George Kellis and Don Sloan from the Fairgrounds in St. C.
So the Big Reds capitalize on the turnover, capitalize on the St. Clairsville mistake, put 8 points on the board. Now, once again, in great field position on the 39-yard line of the Red Devils. And boy, if you're Bellaire, if you're St. Clairsville defensively, you're really worried about Mr. Materkoski's legs, because that's what killed them on the previous drive. Now you see Bellaire come out. They've got receivers split either way in an I formation.
And they give it to the up back. And it'll be a gain of about 2.
Benji Littell on the carry for the Bellaire Big Reds. So a gain of a couple. We'll bring up 2nd and 8. We're down to 50 seconds, inside 50 seconds to go here in the first half.
When we last saw Bellaire 2 weeks ago, Littell was having a whale of a game against John Marshall. 6 feet, 210-pound fullback in this Big Reds offense. 2nd down and 8, ball at the 37-yard line of St. C. Redman shoots through the middle, and he's down to the 31-yard line, where it'll bring up a 3rd and 2.
And that's just about his average, just a shade short of it. He's averaging a little over 9 yards a carry. Give him about 7 on that one. But a good burst by Courtney Redman. He's got good speed. He's a threat. It makes something happen anywhere in the football field. There's good acceleration through the hole for this guy.
That is the end of the first quarter here at the Fairgrounds. On the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard, it's Bellaire 8, St. Clairsville nothing.
Belmont Savings Bank was founded in Bellaire in 1885 to help people buy, build, or improve their homes.
Hello, I'm Angie Shaker.
And I'm meteorologist Jeff Exline.
If snoring is a problem for you, on the next News 9 Sunrise, we'll tell you what may be causing it, unexpected cause, and what to do about it.
And will we warm up as we head back to work and school on Monday? Get the complete details in the Storm Team 9 forecast.
And on the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard, 8-0 Bellaire after a quarter. And the Big Reds have a first down and a big run, and this is going to go for a touchdown. Tommy Mamie. Yards.
There's Mamie, the fullback, and just gets right through the hole, turns on a burst of speed, picks up the block there. Nobody's going to touch him. Mamie, big gainer there, and boy, like lightning, Big Reds up 14-0. They'll go for 2 again.
They get this 2-point conversion. It's going to put St. C in a very difficult situation. You not only got to score some touchdowns, but you got to tack on some things after the fact. The pass is in the end zone, and it's not going to work. So they will settle for 14-0. Shanks was the intended receiver. 14-0. Bellaire leads St. C now. That was a touchdown on the opening play of the second quarter. The DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard. The pizza worth going after. And they even deliver nowadays. Some ominous clouds overhead here at the Fairgrounds. And a lot of those clouds hanging over the head of Mark Boner and the St. C players, Don, because these kids, to remember the last time Bellaire or St. C team beat Bellaire, these kids would have been 7, 8, 9 years old.
Right.
And they just don't know what that experience is all about. And they are just trying to find their way in this rivalry.
And St. C's looked excellent in their 2 wins over Edison and Union Local. Lost a shootout really against a very tough Beaver Local team, which could be one of the better teams in Ohio Valley this year. We'll find out tonight when they play East Liverpool. But Beaver Local, a team with a lot of weapons, they win that shootout against St.Clairsville. But this is the game. This really shows St.Clairsville where they're at, how far they've come. They have come a long way since Coach Boner has taken over. But a key right here, they saw it in their first possession, moved the ball very well, did not score. St. C has got to come out and move the football on this possession.
That thing's going to just kind of roll and die in no man's land at the 28-yard line. Now a burst out over the 30, the 40, down the sideline, and they turn that into something, and they needed a spark, and they got it.
Yeah, Mitch Rydell on the return, and you see that happen so many times when a return man delays for just 1 second. That kind of lets things open up, and here he is. He's got his 2 blockers right in front of him. Takes enough time, and boy, the scene.
You can see, Bellaire
just
players had already
right
overrun the thing because of the way it developed on, and so they'll start at the Bellaire 48-yard line. Down by 14 points. It could have been worse if they'd have converted the 2, but St. C still has plenty of time. They don't need to panic. They just got to get something humming here.
Yeah, and Rydell showed good speed there, puts it in Bellaire territory.
Shanks is going to unload, throws a laser down the field. The ball is
incomplete. Adam Quirk, a nice job for Quirk. Steps right up in the pocket, and Bellaire can pressure the quarterback. We saw that against John Marshall. They are very aggressive, very quick, maybe a little undersized on that front wall, but very quick. And they had the pressure on. Quirk stepped up, threw a nice ball intended for Shanks, but it falls incomplete.
Mosslander on the coverage. I think that their defense is better tailored at this point in time to go up against a passing team rather than a running team, especially a power running team. Quirk back again under some pressure, swings it out, incomplete, and the St. C passing game is not in sync. Although, honestly, I thought they had that previous play set up very nicely.
Well, actually, this was set up nicely well. This is what they picked up, a nice gainer on, I think, the first play from scrimmage in the game. Quirk under center that time. Now he'll go out, and Gosset will just kind of sneak out into the flat and just gets led a little too much by Quirk. So 3rd and long, 3rd and 10 on the 47 of the Big Reds. Looks like Quirk may be changing the play at the line of scrimmage.
3rd down and 10. Quirk throws it, has a man for a first down. That is Mel. Mel to the 26.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Luke's been impressive now. 2 catches, and that's been open. I mean, they're concerned with the outside receivers, and Mel has been finding that seam. And with his height, he ends up being a pretty good target.
Big 3rd down conversion. He had 3rd and 10. Quirk throws a strike. Mel, with his 6'4" frame, went up, caught the football, and the Red Devils are in business. 1st and 10 at the Bellaire 26. This has got ugly written all over it, and it'll go for a loss of yardage. First problem was that Adam Quirk and another Red Devil collided in the backfield. They lose 2 yards on the play. 2nd down and 12.
Quirk, he'll spin around, run right into his back. Then he slips, and Bellaire once again turning up the heat in the backfield of the Red Devils. So now a loss of 3 on that one makes it 2nd and 13 on the 29 of Bellaire.
Incomplete. They've had Velcro coverage in the secondary every time that Quirk has sent the ball down the field.
Yeah, Quirk's
Mosslander back there, and also you see number 40, Rocky Thoburn.
Yeah, Mosslander with the coverage that time, and as you say, blanket coverage. Quirk throwing some nice balls, but the Bellaire defense, the coverage unit, are right on it. And the thing is, we talked about this earlier this year, George, and the fact that they see passing day after day after day in practice. I mean, this secondary Bellaire, they're going to be able to cover the pass.
3rd down and 12. Devils looking at another opportunity here to keep this drive alive. The swing pass will get about 3 or 4 yards, and that's it.
Yeah,
Gosset
once
on
again,
the reception.
once again they slip him out of the backfield. He only gains a couple, so it'll bring up
4th and about 8.
Yep, fourth and about 7 or 8.
I don't think there's any question. St. C's got to go for it here with the ball at the Bellaire 23-yard line.
And here's another look at it. Here's Quirk, drops it out there to Gosset. But they've got to complete the longer stuff down the sideline. Once they start to do this, that's going to open up the stuff for Gosset coming out of the backfield.
4th and a long 7 at the 22-yard line. They went for a 4th down and goal at the 5 earlier, or 4th and 5, and didn't make it. Quirk throws, incomplete.
Yeah, I think it got batted down. I think
somebody swatted that, yeah, and that's the end of that drive, and Bellaire will take over again on downs.
I think it was Matt Sherwood that flew into the backfield. We said it earlier, the Big Reds are going to provide plenty of pressure up front. Hard to tell there. It looked like somebody may have got a hand on it, though.
Or maybe Quirk was hit as he got rid of the football. In any case, Bellaire has it. 1st and 10 at their own 22-yard line. The pitch back, and down goes the ball carrier.
That was Redman.
Redman for a loss. 4-yard loss back inside the 20 to the 19. 9:50 to play in the first half. Bellaire 14, St. C nothing.
Now's when the Red Devil defense needs to step up, pin Bellaire back in their own end.
Materkoski will roll this way. They've got the pursuit after him this time, and down he goes.
A great effort there by Danny Powell. The senior rips up Materkoski in the backfield, takes him down for the loss. Loss of 4 in the play. It'll bring up 3rd and 14 on their own 18.
where they lost about 4 on first down and at least 3 more on second down. It's third down and a bunch. And this is where St. C really does have to make a stand on defense in the hopes of getting a ball back, ball on the ground. Materkoski in some trouble. Eluded a couple of people, but too many guys back there, and they lose yardage on 3 consecutive plays, all the way back to their own 10-yard line.
So the second down play, the Red Devil defense comes up big, makes their break. This time they get a break because Materkoski never got a hold of the snap from center, and really Bellaire lucky that he could find it again. Then he's just in a world of hurt. Red Devils all over him. Adam Udash in there, and then Seth Hudson.
The punt is very short, out to only the 31-yard line where they'll let it roll dead, and it's first down for the St. C Red Devils, trailing 14-0.
Yeah, and they need to punch it in here now because you're not going to have field position like this to start off all night. They're on the 31-yard line of the Bellaire Big Reds.
Well, let's think back now. They went all the way to the Bellaire 5.
Got stopped.
Stalled.
On the lateral.
Yeah, the lateral starting at the Bellaire 39-yard line, lost the football. Got down in there to about the 22 and ran out of gas. Now they start around the 31. Good job right here.
Yeah, by Chase
Orem, who transferred over here from Wheeling Central during the offseason. And Orem is a fire plug. He is a physical specimen when you look at him. At 5'9", 175 pounds, but he's put together and pretty tough to bring down.
Somehow Orem got around Stamkowski, because I'll tell you what, Vince Stamkowski was right there, right where he needed to be. He was broke down ready to make the tackle, but Orem did a little shake and bake and ended up picking up 5 yards when he probably shouldn't have got any.
St. C out of the I formation at the 25.
Somehow
Inside
through that mess of
handoff.
bodies, I think he got 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah, the ball carrier is Brett Jordan. It'll be third. No, they're going to call it a first down, so the pile went far enough.
Yeah, you got to give Brett a lot of credit. That was a pretty good effort by Brett Jordan, because there wasn't a whole lot of anything there. And you just saw the pile of bodies kind of move forward to pick up that first down. So now they're at the 20, first and 10 on the 20 for the Red Devils.
7:35 and counting here in the second quarter. George Kellis and Don Sloan at the Fairgrounds, 14-0 Bellaire over St. C. Red Devils trying to make it happen right here. Quirk trying to run away from the pursuit. And he'll get about 5 or 6 yards. The clock continues to turn as they kept him in bounds. A good job by Quirk to just outrun the pursuit and get 5 yards on the play to the 15.
Yeah, and he wasn't afraid to go in there. He put his head down and got that extra yardage. And they say what they like about this kid the most is just his confidence. He goes in the huddle. A very commanding presence in that huddle is Adam Quirk. And you see him here, just a junior. He's showing some pretty good athletic ability. And boy, puts down his head and picks up about 3 more.
Second down, a short 5 at the 15. And on a long count, the handoff, ball loose.
Yeah, he got back on it.
Gosset lost it for a second, but that puts St. C in another down and distance. Now they've chipped away, but at some point they have run into problems every time they've had opportunities, and now they've got 3rd and 5. I'm sure they're in a 4-down situation, but you certainly wanted to come up with something there if you're St. C. Instead, the Bellaire defense continues to, at least to this point, keep the Red Devils out of the end zone. Quirk on a short drop. Pump fake, throws it, and it is a touchdown.
Brett Jordan, what an effort. Out and up, and there it was. Quirk lays the ball out there nicely for the Red Devil touchdown. And take another look at it. Quirk, a nice effort. Had the pump fake and then lets her go.
Jordan played tall on this play. He went up and got it, Don, and held on.
He had to lay on, get it, and I'll tell you what, Bellaire, once again, pretty good coverage, but Jordan just with a heck of an effort, and the Red Devils will try to boot the extra point.
The kick is good. And St. C is back in the ball game. On the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard, it's now Bellaire 14, St. C 7. You're watching high school football on WTOV TV 9. The home fans have come alive here in the second quarter at St.Clairsville, and on the DeFelice scoreboard, you've got a 14-7 ball game now. Bellaire will have pretty good field position as Matt Wallner brought it out across the 40-yard line. Actually, they spot the ball in front of the Bellaire bench at about 37. So we've got some intrigue now. Looked like Bellaire had a chance to really seize matters by the throat and leave the Red Devils in the dust, but St. C showing some resiliency here now. Trails only by 7. The handoff to the up man in the I formation. Then here comes a flag from way across the field on the near side.
Yeah, there's a late flag. I don't know if maybe somebody got a hold of a face mask. Yep. Face mask penalty against the Red Devils.
Apparently only one official saw it. And that was
that's all it takes.
The side judge over here.
They all don't have to see it.
We'll see if that's the 5 or 15
yeah,
yard.
It's the 5. Tacked on at the end of the play because he gained 2 or 3 in the play. So John Magistro will like this. Second and a couple.
Big Reds with the ball at their own 45. They lead 14-7. This is going to be a first down because St. C defenders were in the neutral zone. It's not like the NFL where you can go over and come back. Once you cross the line, it's too late.
Yeah, and this has to be frustrating for St. C. They get the touchdown, really stopped them on the first down play, but got the face mask. So now the momentum when St. C was, it seemed like they grabbed the hold of it. Now they might be bouncing back to Bellaire because now they broke the midfield stripe and they are in Red Devil territory.
The tailback gets the call, and he is chopped down after a short gain. We saw 73 back there wreaking havoc. Again, Danny Powell, who's had a pretty good first half at 6 feet, 210.
Yeah, that hole closed up pretty quick, and that's what St. Clairsville needs. They need those front guys, Seth Hudson, Danny Powell, DJ Hines, and Luke Mell to really close things down on that front wall.
2nd and 8. Bellaire at the St. C 48. Materkoski with a play fake this time. Runs away from a couple of defenders. Now there's a penalty marker clear back at the 45. And we'll see what this is.
We got
a holding call rather frequently in that area, and that's what you have. A holding foul here against the Bellaire Big Reds.
See, DJ Hines is a guy that's got to contain Materkoski. He can't let Materkoski get out around him. As you see the holding penalty being pointed off. This is Hines here. His job is to keep Materkoski in that pocket. And he does just that, and then the Red Devils end up being held by the Big Reds.
The mark-off is a big problem for Bellaire because it comes all the way back to the 37-yard line. They're looking at 2nd down and 23.
I remember playing defensive end in high school and the coach telling me we faced a team that had a running quarterback like this. He goes, whatever you do, just don't let him get out around you. He did once and gained about 35 yards.
The delay to Redman, or is it? No. it was Materkoski, and they would have been better off giving it to Redman, to tell you the truth.
And I think Matt thought that. You saw him smack the football against his hand. It's like, oh, shoot, maybe I should have handed it off to Redman.
Because he had an opening. You'll see Redman just run through here unmolested.
Yeah, I'm like you. I thought Redman did have the football, but boy, the Bellaire quarterbacks have always been able to do that. Nice play fix. Materkoski
did manage some gain on the play. They'll look at 3rd and 20. 3:35 to go in the half. Big Reds 14, Red Devils 7. Materkoski short drop back throws, and he has a man incomplete.
Tell you what, he had a chance to have him because the defender for St. C bid on the fake, and the receiver ended up being open, but he gets overthrown by Materkoski.
Stemkowski was the intended receiver on the play. The Big Reds will have to punt it away again. You'll see Stemkowski get between defenders.
There he
goes. He's open right here.
Because the corner bit on the fake. It was a nice route that Stemkowski ran.
A nice high punt. St. C lets it bounce, and they're very lucky because that's one of those punts that sometimes will take a real big bounce and put you in a hole. So they've got pretty decent field position. Start at their own 37, trailing by a score of 14-7.
And I'll tell you what, for a couple of passing teams, this first half seems to have gone quick. 3:16 to go in the half. St. C averages 31 points a game, and we'll see if they can tack on another 7 before the first half is over.
Well, by all accounts, this game should remain interesting. Bellaire shows blitz. Quirk throws, and that had a better chance of being intercepted as opposed to caught by the intended receiver, who was Mitch Riddell.
That was Mosslander over again, once again on the coverage.
I'll tell you what, he is doing a whale of a job on the corner tonight here for the Bellaire defense. Saw number 2 there, Ryan Ralston digging in, the wide out to the left. Quirk with time to throw, swings it out to his safety valve right here. Good gain, might be a first down. It's very close. Brett Jordan on the reception. He's the one that caught the touchdown pass a short while ago. And Jordan was the last option right here.
He was. He was the outlet. Everybody else was covered. Nothing there. And Jordan just gives him a little safety valve. And so that safety valve ended up being enough to open up the valve for a first down. So that will move the ball out to the 37-yard line. 3:03 to go, first half.
This will bring up a first down and 10 from the 37-yard line for the Red Devils.
Now they go with the trips out to the left and a single setback again. Ball down, and there's a pileup.
And St. C got on it once again, but that's the second time now that they've had trouble just executing these running plays. The simple straight handoffs, and we've had guys running into each other and a couple of fumbles.
Second down and 10, no gain on the play. Adam Quirk back in trouble, and he lost the football. Ball is finally recovered by St. C, but not after a big loss and some pretty hairy circumstances there for Mark Boner and company.
And Matt Sherwood just got in there, was right on top of Quirk. When Quirk goes to set up in the pocket, he's got Sherwood in his pocket.
There is a van in our parking lot.
Look from the top of the screen. He's got plenty of pressure. And there's Sherwood. Just Quirk's not even back. He's not done with his drop, and there's Sherwood.
St. Clairsville has been very fortunate that they still have the football here. 3rd down and about 18. Quirk is going to get mugged. So the defenses have begun to assert themselves. St. C had Bellaire in reverse the last series, and on this very promising field position and an opportunity here for St. Clairsville, the Bellaire Big Reds.
Tommy Mamie, boy, he just went in there practically untouched. He timed the snap count, and that allowed him to be right in there on top of Quirk.
A minute and a half to go, and we'll see after a timeout here on 4th down if, in fact, maybe Bellaire takes a chance and comes after this punt.
And we said it earlier. We talked about the John Marshall game. That was Bellaire's one victory. But in that game, JM threw the ball all over the place in the first half. Bellaire came out with some different stuff as far as their blitzes in the second half and just really shut down the John Marshall passing attack. And we're seeing here, when you've got guys that can cover the way that the Bellaire D-backs can cover, that opens things up for these guys to have different blitzes and different blitz packages and schemes and stunts where they can put that pressure on, and they sure do. Some very quick guys on that front 7 for the Bellaire Big Reds, but the strength of the secondary, George, is what allows that to happen. Heck, Huston had, 5 sacks against JM?
Yeah, and frankly, Don, I think in order to beat Bellaire, what you got to do is you got to be persistent with the running game. And Park did not have that thing blown wide open until pretty late last week, but it got to a point where Bellaire just couldn't hold off the Dogs any longer with their run defense. Bellaire's going to have pretty good field position right here. They're going to start at their own 47, but only a minute and 20 to go. And the thing is, you just have to just keep pounding and pounding and pounding until finally they just can't stop it anymore. That is what Indian Creek did, and that's what Wheeling Park did. John Marshall fell into the spider's web of trying to, box with a boxer instead of trying to slug it.
Absolutely, but if that's your offense, if that's what you do, and that's what St. Clairsville is doing with Coach Boner. Heck, he's got the Bellaire offense here in St. C. That's what you do. You're not going to change your whole game plan, but St. Clairsville has got to be able to establish something though on the ground.
The pass is caught, and then incomplete. They say out of bounds on the near side of the field. Well, good effort. Materkoski lobbed it up there, and the intended receiver was Stemkowski.
Yeah, Stemkowski really makes a nice adjustment on this football to come back to it. Here you see the pass by Materkoski. And Stemkowski saw that it was underthrown and came back to it, and
honestly,
he did drop it.
If he had caught it, he was inbounds, and that would have been a good catch. A minute 14, 2nd down and 10. Bellaire at its own 46. They lead in this game, 14-7. This is run all the way, and good pursuit laterally by the St. C defenders. Materkoski, no gain, and there's a timeout quickly called here. It stops the clock with a minute 3.
Yeah, Mitch Riddell, nice job stringing that out. He came up to make the stop. And who knows, 3rd and 11, now the Red Devils, Coach Boner and company, hoping to get the football back. Big Reds 11 on their own 45-yard line.
Again, put a kettle of coffee on there, or maybe get a good night's rest after you see this. And get up raring to go, Ohio State, Miami. High noon. Olympic coverage, 4:30. Again from 7 to midnight. And 12:30 to 2 a.m. NBC and WTOV 9 proud to bring you the Summer Olympics. Sunday's Olympic schedule as follows: 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So virtually all day Olympic coverage. Then after newscast, 7 to midnight, and a recap from 12:30 to 2 a.m. Of course, you'll see a lot of swimming events early and track and field late. Materkoski throws, intercepted, the 50. Lost the football. Ball down, ball in the hands of a Red Devil, and still going to the 23-yard line in a very bizarre turn of events. That almost looked like Casper and the Raiders. Riddell Is he the guy that intercepted it? Or?
No, Shanks. I think
All right, Shanks. Let's see this madness.
Well, the pressure. First, St. Clairsville pops the quarterback. Here's the interception. I think it's Nick Shanks.
Defender ran right in front of a fallen receiver. Now Shanks. Whoop. And is finally picked up right there by Riddell. I thought for a second it was an intentional fumble by Shanks, but he just lost grip.
49 seconds left in the half.
Pass out. And this will be very close to a first down, and St. C is making noise with Brett Jordan on the catch.
Yeah, Jordan will pick up 9 yards there. Clock stopped.
38 seconds.
Timeout for St. C.
Timeout.
Yeah, I didn't think he got out of bounds, so St. C calls the timeout. And boy, the Red Devils are in business. 38 seconds to go, second one on the 24, but the defense coming up with the big play. Shanks with the interception, and when he picked that off, George, he was playing back, and he just came up out of nowhere, read the pass, and flew up and picked it off. But Riddell, Johnny on the spot to pick up the fumble recovery.
Well, we know that Shanks is a heck of a football player. This is his third year. 5'11", 175-pound senior. And yeah, he doped that out, and he went for it. I mean, he knew that they needed to make a big play to have a chance to score. And he made the gamble, intercepted the football, then handled it a little loosey-goosey there for a second, but all's well for the Red Devils the way it all panned out.
And we talked about earlier in the game this being a statement game for St. Clairsville to see how far they've come. Well, I'll tell you what, if they come back from being 14-0 down to being tied at 14 going into the locker room, mentally this team's going to need some pretty good shape coming out in the second half.
Keep in mind that Bellaire will get the football to open the third quarter. St. C had the opening drive of the game. So the Devils really would like to put points on the board. Quirk.
And I'll tell you what, I don't know how he was not offsides. Great effort, though, coming in for the Big Reds and by Matt Frizzi. I mean, they're timing the snap count of Quirk. But you got to wonder, well, we're not going to see it here, but here's Quirk. But, boy, I got to think Frizzi's back there so quick that I'm not sure it might have been a little too quick.
Well, that's not good for St. C because they had 2nd and 1, and now they got 3rd and 12.
But a big play by Frizzi, though.
Oh, huge play.
Big Reds needed that.
So 30 seconds, the time remaining. And Bellaire leading 14-7.
But that's the second time in this quarter that the Big Reds have come up with a big sack where it just seemed that they knew the snap count. And
maybe they do.
You've got to vary it. I mean, if you end up coming up and coming up the line of scrimmage, barking out your signal, same rhythm, each defenders are going to pick up on it. You can't really. Actually, it's getting kind of dark now. We could see some ominous clouds earlier.
It's impossible to tell whether it's still as overcast as it was a half hour. All right. Still a chance of rain. 3rd down and 12 here for St. C. Quirk is back. He has time. He throws. Incomplete. And the intended receiver was Riddell. 4th down, and I'm sure they'll go for it. 24 seconds remain. This would be a big defensive stand here by Bellaire because it was such a crazy thing as to how St. C got an opportunity to get into scoring range right here. And if Bellaire can hold them off, they too would feel good about a 14-7 lead going in at the half.
And I'll tell you what, this guy Stemkowski, he's done a heck of a job covering those receivers of the Red Devils so far.
He's only a sophomore, Don. Quirk back, looking for time. He guns it over the head of Mel and incomplete. And once again, the Red Devils sputter in the red zone.
Yeah, golden opportunity, but the key play, you got to look back at the sack by Frizzi. And that took a golden scoring opportunity away from the St. Clairsville Red Devils. We're down to 18 seconds and a half. Bellaire up 14-7. Looks like they'll take that 14-7 lead in the locker room.
Down to the knee goes Materkoski, and the two teams will head off. So after a wild last couple of minutes, status quo. On the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard at halftime, it's Bellaire, Clairsville 7. Back with the Battle of the Bands. You're watching high school football on WTOV TV. Ready for the third quarter on the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard. Bellaire 14, St. C 7. The Big Reds will get the ball. And as always, what transpired in the locker room with respect to adjustments at halftime, very important. Line drive kick. And the return out to the 29-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bellaire Big Reds. So toward the end of the first half, the defense has picked it up a tad. But these are a couple of teams that have proved at times this year that they can put a lot of yardage together and put some points on the board. We saw Bellaire do it against John Marshall a couple of weeks ago, and against a pretty good Beaver local team. Bellaire, or rather St. C, had 440 yards of offense. So there's a penalty marker on a short first down run.
Probably holding, I would imagine, against the Big Reds. No face mask, St. C.
5-yard face mask foul.
It's the second face mask penalty called on the Red Devils. Once again, important to set the tone either way for one of these teams to come out and grab the momentum here in the second half. Big Reds with the lead 14-7 over the Red Devils.
It's one of the rules changes this year is high school ball for years. It was a 15-yard penalty for a face mask under any circumstances. Now for an unintentional, it's 5 yards, and for a flagrant, it's 15. And Materkoski is going to have a first down out over the 45-yard line. And the Big Reds get off to a good start here in the third quarter. They lead 14-7.
Materkoski likes to run the football. Nice pick up there as he picks up the first down. And you'll see here, this is a run all the way for the quarterback. Got a couple guys pull out that way, and he goes right behind him. The kick out the end. And there he goes for the first down yardage. So 1st and 10 on their own 46-yard line now for the Big Reds.
Actually, on that previous play, Chad Tobin threw a nice block on Mel. All right, Redman gets 4 yards to midfield. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Once again, Redman, there's the guard, kicks out. There goes Redman. Nearly, he could have picked up more runs than his own man. A good stop there for the St. CD, but a gain of 5, 2nd and 5.
Ball at the midfield stripe. Here's the pitch back. Good slashing yardage by the Big Reds and Courtney Redman. He's very close to the first down.
He's one of these guys that likes to get the ball deep in the backfield. He's got very good vision, and he really doesn't mess around. For a guy that's not that big, he's a north-south runner. You'll see him take the pitch and get squared up. Boom, he's going to shoot up the field. So it'll be 3rd down and short yardage. Here's a good look at Courtney Redman.
Ball at the St. C 45. Bellaire leads this game 14-7. We're in the early stages of the third quarter. That'll be good for a first down. Mamie, the ball carrier.
Yeah, and Tommy Mamie scored the 2nd touchdown. Materkoski scored the first one on the ground. Mamie had the big run of, 30-some yards for their touchdown. And the fullbacks, Littell and Mamie, doing a nice job for the Big Reds. You see him blast up in there behind the block. Really paving the way was Todd Bates.
The thing about this team is some of their running backs, for example, Mamie, a fullback, is not real full at 5'11", 170 pounds, but when they get the job done.
When have the Bellaire backs been big, though?
That's true. They have never, in recent years, had big punishing running backs, and in fact, Don, it's been, in my recollection, since before you were even here, when they had a kid by the name of Michael Honeycutt back in the late 80s, was the last stud type running back that they had. Fake handoff, and then Materkoski takes matters into his own hands.
And that's tough if you're a linebacker. I mean, you've got to respect that draw, that handoff to the back. And then Materkoski just whoop, keeps it, and off he goes.
Here it is right here. Little sleight of hand. Gets a block right there. Positive yardage, third and about 3.
Saw DJ Hines there. Yeah, boom. He wants to go for the running back. He takes a step that way. He gets blocked. Materkoski gets around him.
They line up in the eye. Tailback gets the call. Good penetration by the St. C defense. They got a man back there.
Yeah.
And then the posse was on the move.
Jimmy Marchisio, great penetration by Marchisio for that stop, and that's what that core up front's got to do for the Red Devils. Marchisio getting it done. Fights off his block, boom, fills the hole, and Redman's not going to be able to get away from Marchisio. Spins, but can't do it.
Bellaire will punt the football. Under some pressure. High. It's going to put St. C back inside its own 10-yard line. So Bellaire unable to put any more points on the board the opening series of the third quarter, but field position becomes an element here. 8:15 to go in the third. Bellaire will go on defense, and the Red Devils, facing a 14-7 lead, deficit rather, will put the ball in play. George Kellis and Don Sloan, and again a look at John Magistro. Quirk. Quirk, nice job out across the 15-yard line. Starting point was about the 7 or 8, so he'll get 7 or 8.
Yeah, Chase Orem, good downfield blocking. Kind of engaged his man and kept him there, allowing Quirk to pick up the gain. Here comes Quirk.
You're right. I don't think you'll see the block on this play done, but it was Orem who had a guy locked up.
Yeah,
there
right
it is,
here.
right there. And while they slow dance, Quirk moves up the field.
Yeah, so that makes it 2nd and short, 2nd and 3, and they've got trips to the top side this time. You can see now, that time Bellaire got called for. It should be Bellaire offsides.
Maybe not, though. It might be the right side of the St. C offensive line. We'll see.
No, it is a procedure against St.Clairsville, but the thing is, though, with Bellaire trying to guess their snap counts, I saw 3 guys that time that were ready and coming, and the guys on the St. C line are getting jumpy. This quickness of the Bellaire front wall is pretty tough to play against if you're a blocker.
St. C repeatedly tonight has created some down and distance problems. Now, instead of a 2nd down and a couple, they're back to 2nd down and 7 again. Quirk throws, and the ball is caught over the middle. Out across the 20 onto the 22-yard line. That'll be good for a 1st down. And Nick Shanks made the reception. And the Red Devils get out from the shadow of their own goalpost. 1st and 10, St. C from its own 22-yard line. Nice job here by Quirk. Good pass protection.
Yeah,
made this work.
And the Reds had some good coverage here, but Quirk just on a needle. Throws it right in there. Nice comeback by Shanks as he comes up with the catch. So that gives the Devils the first down. And as you said, though, good pass protection that time for St. C.
Quirk back in the gun. Gets pressure up the middle and will lose yardage. Back inside his own 20.
Yeah, well, there were about 4 Big Reds defenders back in the backfield, too, with Quirk. And tell you what, these guys, I think these kids from Bellaire on this front wall love to play teams that are going to throw the football because they can really bring it on the pass rush. I mean, you're not seeing on that opening shot the front wall of Bellaire, but boy, these kids are just pinning their ears back and teeing off.
Second down and 13. Will flare out to the left-hand side. That is Chase Orem, and Orem gets past the original line of scrimmage. The Devils will have 3rd and 8.
Positive yardage in that situation. You know, they had 3rd and long, but once again, the safety valve, Orem. That gain will bring up a 3rd and 8. Devils on their own 24. And you've got to do things like that to offset that pressure, to offset that pass rush. I got everybody up there.
Quirk back. Has time, throws, the ball is intercepted at the 47-yard line.
Dustin Barnes, the safety, all alone back there, comes up with the interception, and he's going to get his name in the paper for picking off the pass for the INT. But I'll tell you what, once again, it's the guys up front. Quirk, just a lot of heat in that kitchen. There you see Mamie. And
honestly, though, Don, I thought he had time to throw more than he's had in other
Here's the thing, though. He sees Mamie to his right, and he's got a big tackle jumping up, sticking his arm there, too. I mean, he's getting it quick. He's getting the ball off quick, but there's enough pressure. And St. C, they like to get the ball off in about 2 seconds.
Materkoski is surrounded.
Yeah, DJ Hines comes up with a stop for the Devils.
And they created nothing but a congestion of bodies right around the pocket. And there was nowhere for Materkoski to operate at all. A look at the brain trust of the St. C staff right here.
We talked about, as far as Bellaire's defense, teams running, I think they only gave up, what, 24
yards, I think,
rushing in the first half.
Second and 10. Materkoski back, and he throws it down the far sideline. Jump ball incomplete.
Yeah, good coverage over there for St.Clairsville.
That was Riddell back in the coverage.
Riddell does a nice job. He's got good speed. We've seen it today. He's over there on the coverage.
The respective secondaries have done real nice jobs of coverage here tonight. And both teams can throw the football, but the passing game really has not been the key for either team. St. C did get its 1 touchdown on a pass play. But on that play, Brett Jordan just made a play. I mean, here is Bellaire now, 3rd and 10. Materkoski back.
Big fake.
Dumps it off. The ball is caught. And this is a first down at the 31-yard line.
Great fake by Materkoski, set the whole thing up. The completion goes Benji Littell, the fullback. So much ends up going on in this play. If you watch Materkoski, there's the fake to Redman. Boom. That holds everybody. Materkoski steps up in the pocket. You've got to respect his running ability. Then he dumps it off to Littell. Nobody's there. But look, I'm not going to be there. The way Materkoski runs the football, of course you're going to get pulled up in, and that ends up being a nice gain for Littell. They get it down to the 32-yard line of the Devils.
So they convert on a 3rd and 10. Here's a lob down the near sideline. Ball is
out of
caught,
bounds.
but out of bounds.
Well, I'll tell you what, we say it a lot, but Stemkowski does a nice job on this play once again. He makes nice adjustments in his route, but Stemkowski was out of bounds on that play.
He reminds me of a young Scott Coyne type of a guy, Stemkowski. He's only a sophomore, 5'10", 155 pounds. But you got to believe the kid has a pretty good future here. There's a timeout on the field with 4.5 minutes to go in the third period. On the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard, it's Bellaire 14, St. C 7. You're watching high school football on WTOV TV 9. Bellaire 14, St. C 7 on the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard. The Big Reds now with second down and 10. They're at the St. C 32-yard line. They just came off a timeout. Now they got to call another one. Well, keep this in mind. St. C won its opener
at Edison.
At Edison. Lost in week 2. Won again in week 3. They're on the ropes in week 4.
And they've got Ferry.
Then they've got Ferry. Now turn that into mirror now. Bellaire lost its opener, won in week 2, lost in week 3, and have an opportunity to win in week 4. So this is an exact mirror opposite of the way the two teams have gone over the early part of this season. And so you got St. C against Ferry next week, play Bellaire and Ferry back to back. And Bellaire's going to have to deal with a pretty good Cambridge team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Opening game, Trevor Cooper and Indian Creek, they racked up about 400 yards of rushing against these guys. Then they play a passing team, JM, who they beat. Park runs the football well, beats them last week. I'll tell you what, Cambridge having a little trouble with Zanesville tonight, but they got this Jake Sowers, ran for 200 and some odd yards against Martins Ferry. Their preview to the season in the Jeffersonian newspaper out there had him picture with a locomotive, and this kid he's been one of the most impressive players, Javen Pastor from Beaver Local, but the most impressive running back I've seen is Jake Sowers from Cambridge, and I'm sure they're going to want to line up and run the football right at Bellaire next week.
Materkoski on a rollout, finds a seam. Materkoski is drilled, but not before he gets a first down. Inside the 20 to the 17-yard line, and you could see everything part. Looked like the Red Sea out there, and Materkoski was off and rolling.
He is so effective running with the football. And you remember the play a couple plays back when he dumped the ball out to Littell? Look, when you know this guy's going to go run with the football, you've got to respect it. And here come the Devils. They're going to lay a pretty nice lick on Materkoski here. Boy, what a pop for the Devils. Coming up defensively was Chris Kimo.
Kimo administered the jolt. A senior at 6'1", 170. But Bellaire on the go. They lead 14-7. They've got a first down at the 17-yard line. That is Courtney Redman. And Redman to the 10. A gain of about 6.
And we always talk about you always hear about the Bellaire passing game, the Bellaire offense, and pass. Really, they're hurting them with Redman and the fullbacks and Materkoski running the football. Think about it, the Reds' passing game hasn't been really what we've seen in past years.
And I think that they know with a smurfish and inexperienced group of receivers that their best option is, to play their strong suit, and their strong suit is to move around with Materkoski, who didn't get to move very far that time.
Yeah, DJ Hines, he comes in, blindsides Materkoski, and Materkoski comes up with the sack.
Well, that's one way to get things slowed down here, is to get to Materkoski quick when he doesn't see something coming, because once he sees the whole field, then that's when things start to happen.
But in Bellaire's offense, with the formations they have and the way they spread things out, if you've got your trips and your twins either way and so forth, that spreads your defense out, and that just opens up the running lanes and so forth for Materkoski.
Third down and 7 at the 12. Materkoski is hit again. Do they have him? They do.
Yeah, I don't know about Hines 57, but how about Hines squared? Back-to-back sacks for DJ Hines.
And that may have taken them out of a field goal opportunity. 5'11", 170-pounder, third-year letterman, DJ Hines.
Blindside. Boom.
2 plays in a row, and if he doesn't take him down right here, then Materkoski may get loose and do something, but he did a great job to wrap him up. 4th and a long 14, and Bellaire will have to go for it. And this is where St. C has to hang on for dear life. They're down by 7. Play fake, pass. Incomplete.
And it's incomplete, and that's just as well for St. C because they'd have lost yardage with that. But once again, Hines had good pressure again. And there you see, somebody better high-five DJ Hines because this kid really came up big on that drive. But Hines starts off very far outside, and the tackle can't get out there to him. You see Materkoski coming up into the pocket.
Thrown just on the inside shoulder pad of Mosslander.
And what they did, they had to shift the running back over to that side to pick Hines up to help out on the blocking.
1st and 10, St. C from its own 21. They dodged a cannonball right there. They trail by 7 here at the hands of the Bellaire Big Reds. Spread the field again. Ball gunned over the middle. Chase Orem has it a 1st down out across the 30 and on to the 34-yard line.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Quirk, he doesn't mess around. Steps back into the pocket, fires. Kid's got a gun for an arm. Chase Orem with the reception for the 1st down. And I think St. C, offensively, they want to feed off the momentum. I think that if these guys, like a 2-minute offense, boom, finds the Orem. I think
the short drops and get rid of the ball.
I think if Quirk gets heated up, that's what he wants to do. I think they'll be more effective.
In trouble, Quirk running. Flush this way, gets some blocks out over the 40, the 45. And Quirk is still on his feet, finally. Driven down at the midfield stripe, but not before he gets 1st down yardage.
And Bellaire once again had plenty of pressure, flushed them out. Mamie was there, except on previous plays, the Reds have had 2 or 3 guys in there. This time was just Mamie. Mamie can't catch him, flushes Quirk out of the pocket, and Adam can run with the football. Once again, good, strong downfield block.
I think that was Shanks smacking somebody. Yep.
And Quirk does not want to go down.
For every yard.
Yeah, so they're in Bellaire territory on the 49.
1st down, Red Devils. Under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter. Nothing's happened on the scoreboard here in the 2nd half. It's still 14-7 Bellaire. Quirk, short drop, throws a lob over the middle. It's picked off at the 35, over the 40.
Guess
the 45.
Who? Stemkowski.
And Stemkowski to the 47. And he pulled the string on that pass, Don, and just kind of threw a quail up there.
Yeah, that's the 2nd interception that the Reds have had. Barnes had one earlier, and now Stemkowski, the 2nd one where it's been a guy back there playing as a safety that just pops up and grabs it. Here's Quirk.
If you lob one like that over the middle, chances are a defender is going to get a good shot at one, and indeed Stemkowski in front of Chase Orem.
Yeah, and these guys are seeing him let it go, and they're coming from a distance and coming up and picking it off.
Now Bellaire goes back to work on offense here in the final 35 seconds of the 3rd quarter. And the inside handoff, a gain of about 4 yards on this play. Benji Littell, I believe, the ball carrier.
It's like with St. C, it's like a mountain, and they're getting there just to the top, about ready when you think they're going to break things and tie it, and then they slip right back down with the turnover.
Once again, the St. C defense will be called upon to keep it within 7. As you see, time will run out here in the 3rd quarter.
And Coach Boner not happy. He's giving an official an earful on this side of the field. And that'll do it for the first 3 quarters of this one.
On the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard, it's Bellaire 14, St. Clairsville 7. We'll be back with the 4th quarter right after these messages. And welcome back to the Fairgrounds. There's a party going on here. And the Bellaire Big Reds lead St. C 14-7 on the DeFelice Brothers Pizza scoreboard. 2nd down and 7 to get ready to start this 4th quarter. Bellaire with a ball at the St. C 45. Materkoski back, tosses it out. That's a first down at the 32-yard line.
Yeah, nice job by the fullback picking up the pass rush. Benji Littell, yeah, he didn't make the catch, but he made the block.
Thoburn is the receiver.
There's Thoburn, but there was some great pressure coming in by St. C. The fullback picks it up, makes the block, and that allows a first down completion to Rocky Thoburn.
Get a little nippy, ain't it?
Yep. Weird things looking in the sky there. Looks like the rain's going to hold off, though.
The up back in the I formation to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, that's Littell. He deserved that carry after the block in the previous play. Gets a nice pick up there. Oh, called about 4. Brings up 2nd and 6.
The next score in this game is very vital at this point. And if Bellaire gets that score, that will put St.Clairsville in a real uphill struggle. Option left, late pitch. Nice job, and that might be a first down to the 20, and I believe it is. A very late pitch and a very short pitch to Redman.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Hold it on to the last possible second, and we'll see here that's exactly what Materkoski does because Nate Slavik pops him. There's Redman right next to him, maybe a little close, but Redman gets it.
Really, just a stop, turn, and cut back real quick right there, and Redman turned that into a first down. That play really should not have gone for very much yardage at all.
No, there wasn't much separation between the back and the quarterback.
Another quick hitter for about 4. Redman again to the 16-yard line where it's 2nd down and 6.
10:35 on the running clock to go in this football game. Reds up by 1 touchdown at 14-7, trying to give themselves a little breathing room while the St. C D, they've got their backs up against the wall.
Bellaire's had a lot of possession time here in the second half. A delayed handoff, and Redman carries the pile forward inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. We'll bring up 3rd and probably 2 or 3 yards.
Very rarely does the first guy that meets Redman bring him down. Tyler Hill met Redman right after he took the handoff, but Redman somehow got by him and ended up picking up some yardage, so that makes it 3rd and 3 to 13. Redman is really doing a nice job on the ground. He's a senior, 5'11", 160.
Bellaire in a 4-down situation. 3rd and 3.
Fumble in a play, but the Reds cover it back up on the handoff to the fullback.
I think it's short of the first down, but only by a little. 4th and 1.
Another handoff here to Benji Littell, the fullback. He gets up in there, and the ball gets Slavik, knocks the ball out. One of those guys underneath in the white jerseys scoops it up.
Bellaire lines up with 2 tight ends. Now they spread the field. Materkoski throws late over the middle. It's a touchdown. But there may be...
I think he crossed the line of scrimmage.
That's what I was thinking all along, Don, is that he may have crossed the line of scrimmage. That's a loss of down, which means they'll not only get yardage, lose a touchdown, but it has saved the day as far as St.Clairsville is concerned. We'll get another chance to look at this. Now, keep in mind the line of scrimmage on the play is the 11-yard line. Materkoski is at the 15.
Oh boy, that's
is that close. Very, very close. And I thought initially when I looked at it live, look at these guys.
Yeah, when it was live, I thought he did cross the line of scrimmage. But boy, when you look at that, that was awful close. But great break for the St. Clairsville Red Devils. They'll take over 1st and 10 on their own 15-yard line.
Quirk throws over the middle and has his man Orem at the 30. Orem, the 40, the 50, and down at the 48-yard line in Bellaire territory.
Yeah, what a turnaround on a couple of plays. Looks like Bellaire might have put things away. Penalty brings that play back, and here come the Devils firing right back. Chase Orem gets around Stemkowski, and he takes it into Big Reds territory down to the 47.
Touchdown saving tackle made there by Dustin Barnes of the Big Reds. 1st and 10. St. C at the Bellaire 47. Quirk gives it off. Good defense by the Reds on that play. Orem again gets the call, but they stayed at home.
Yeah, that was Matt Frizzi doing his job, staying at home, turning things in, making the tackle. Orem doing a nice job tonight, running the football, catching it. No gain in the play, thanks to the stop by Frizzi, brings up 2nd and 10. Under 8 minutes to go in the game.
2nd down and 10. St. C trying to come from what was a 14-0 early deficit. It's 14-7 here in the 4th. Quirk steps up, and he lost the football.
It looks like Bellaire scooped it up, and they
Bellaire
sure
has it.
Boy.
And every time St. C.
Yep. I said it once, it's like climbing a mountain. They get right up to the point where you think they're going to get back in and tie this thing up, and something happens.
We have a timeout with 7:33 to play on the DeFelice Brothers scoreboard. Bellaire 14, St. C 7. All right, Bellaire starts at its own 48. Redman gets the call, but there's a penalty marker down on the near side of the field, so hold everything. George Kellis and Don Sloan here at the Belmont County Fairgrounds. We are watching a 14-7 Bellaire advantage here.
So I believe, 3 turnovers for St. C, 2 interceptions and the fumble now.
And you can't do that. Look at Chase Orem on the St. C sideline.
Well, actually, let's take it one step further. You've got the 2 interceptions. You've got this and then the lateral in the beginning of the game, so 4. And Bellaire capitalized in the first for a touchdown to take the lead.
The mark off against Bellaire brings it back now to the 43. 1st and 15. Materkoski throws incomplete. Redman, the intended receiver, and that wasn't Matt's best toss of the night. That one was at Redman's feet. 7:05 as the clock stops.
Well, I know the play got called back, but his best toss of the night might have been that touchdown that got called back. There it is, just too low. Redman can't scoop it off of his shoe tops.
Well, they'll be talking about that when they break the films down this week, if that ultimately has an impact in the outcome.
One's gone either way. You take that in the lateral in the first half, and this one.
Those were 2 very close ones, weren't they? Yeah, the lateral was, I thought, arguable as well. Here's the pass over the middle. And that'll get into St. C territory to the 49-yard line.
Rocky. Once again.
Thoburn. 3rd and 8.
You got to like Rocky. We talked about the prototypical tight end Mel. Rocky's about 5'10". He still ends up making a pretty nice target.
Materkoski throws as he's hit, but this will be over the head and incomplete. Bring up 4th. And the punt team comes on here for the Big Reds. They lead 14-7, but their defense has done a job here tonight.
Seth Hudson had the pressure on that. Chemo was back on the coverage.
You know, when I look at the final scores, you and I did not see their 2 losses. They certainly look like a good football team the 2 times we saw.
Well, because they're playing teams that are playing their type of football that are throwing it.
Fair catch called for, and then the ball bounds down to the 16-yard line, and that's where the Red Devils will put it in play. They got 84 yards of real estate to navigate.
Bellaire's got a nice football team. If you look at it, you've got Indian Creek just ran the football, and St. C hasn't been able to run the football, but that's their pass first. That's why it will be interesting to see Cambridge against Bellaire, a team that really they don't throw much.
And they'll get a dose of sours.
Yeah. Well, that's what, you know, any questions about Bellaire's run defense ought to be answered that day.
They spread the field again with wideouts all over the place. And Quirk back, short drop, throws it. This is Nick Shanks. Shanks has the first down out across the 25-yard line and up to the 28. Plenty of time here, 6:06 to play in the 4th quarter. A well-conceived play right here.
Yeah,
with Quirk tossing the ball to Shanks on a slant.
Yeah, throw it out to Shanks and watch when he comes back in the block by Jordan. As they try to string it out, he's got a whole bevy full of blockers out there. As they get the first down, just cuts it all the way back across the field.
Again, 3 men split to the near side. Quirk's in some trouble. He's in some real serious trouble. And he is dumped back at his own 24-yard line. Good coverage downfield, good pressure up the middle, and they couldn't do anything there but eat the football for a loss of 3.
And mostly tonight, when they've been able to get away from the pass rush on that, they've dumped it out to Orem or whoever the outlet back would be, Orem or Gosset. But this time it did not happen, and he ends up being sacked. But you don't want to keep going to your outlet. One of these times they need to hit that down the sideline if they're ever going to open things up.
Again, Bellaire with a big defensive play puts St. C in a down and distance of 2nd and 13. Quirk throws it.
Oh, what a catch for a first down.
First down.
That's
and a brilliant
Ralston.
reception
Riddell.
by Mitch Riddell. I'd like to see that again.
He's a junior, and I'll tell you what, he's been impressive tonight. Remember, we had the return on a kick earlier. Great concentration. First to get up there and even get your hands on it to begin with. He bats it up in the air and catches it.
That was a
down.
play that needed to be made right here in this situation for St. C.
And I don't think he played in the Beaver local game either.
No, he didn't.
Which
he
it really hurt them.
1st and 10, St. C. Quirk with room to run if somebody will block for him. If somebody had thrown a block, there was only one defender in the area. And
yeah, well, I think Shanks got thrown off because he pumped and it looked like Quirk was going to throw it. Shanks was ready to be a receiver. Next thing, Quirk tucks it in and runs with it. But he picks up a nice chunk of yardage.
Gain of 7 to midfield,
yeah,
so the Devils aren't dead yet.
Right here's when Shanks is next to the guy and he's ready to be a receiver. Then Quirk tucks it back in. Then it was a little too late. All right, here you go. 2nd and 2 and a 49.
3:52 and counting. Shanks is going to try to outrun the pursuit. Throws late over the, and now he's going to get nailed for throwing the ball beyond a line of scrimmage, I think. Because this penalty marker is very late.
I don't think so, unless they're saying he grounded it. But Houston, all kinds of pressure. And I'll tell you what, if Houston's running down Quirk, you know Sean Houston's got some speed. A lot of times your big lineman's not going to run down a quarterback like that. Intentional grounding. No.
Somebody's ineligible downfield.
Yeah, an eligible man downfield.
And this is just the thing that's got Mark Boner is going to
look at Houston, man.
Consider a bridge jump tonight, because here again, instead of 2nd and 2, now you got 2nd and 7. And the clock not yet an element, but the absence of big plays in this game. way Bellaire's playing defensively, they're going to make you go 5-6 yards a clip.
Well, as we said, they've got the secondary guys that can cover, they can be out on that island, and they let everybody else up and they're rushing.
Quick pass out here to Shanks. He caught it.
That's Ryan Ralston.
I'm sorry,
this
that's
time.
2, not 12. Ryan Ralston made the catch, so they get him involved in the offense, and they get that yardage that they lost back. So it'll be 3rd down and 2.
And there's still a good amount of, there's 3:24, not a ton of time, but plenty of time to get done what they want to. And here's Ralston picking up about 8
6
or 6. It'll bring up a 3rd and a long yard. Oh, fumble.
Down.
He got it.
And he had a knee, so Quirk grabbed it. Now they've got a desperation situation. See, these are the kind of things that'll make coaches' graybeards real quick, because now you got 4th and 4 where you had 3rd and 1.
Well, this is what we talked about St. C not beating these guys since some of these kids were 7 and 8. Bellaire knows they can beat St. C. Right now, St. C's thinking we can beat Bellaire, but I think Bellaire knows that they can do it. D. Fleece Brothers Pizza scoreboard, Bellaire leading St. C 14-7. We'll be back with the last 3 minutes after this.
4th down and 4. St. C from its own 48-yard line. The gun, the incompletion through the hands of the intended receiver,
And Nick
Shanks.
He had him where he wanted him. Would have been enough for the 1st down, but it goes through the hands of Shanks.
And Bellaire will take over possession of the football with 2:53. And now a certain sense of urgency sets in for the Red Devils.
Yeah, this play was set up really well. Just out of the reach of Shanks on the 4th down play. So 2:53 to go. Bellaire takes over in St. C territory in the 47.
Benji Littell inside the 45. And a timeout is called.
I don't know about you, George. 14-7? I thought we'd see a lot more scoring than this. I was thinking like a 28-27.
Timeout called here by St. C. Now, the Big Reds are going for their 9th consecutive win here against St. C, dating back to 1991.
But as we said earlier, this game would show how far St. C's come, and they've come a long way from the time of how many years in a row
they were shut out.
They were shut out in this game by Bellaire.
93, 94, 95, 96, I think in 97 as well.
Yeah, and it started with that 6-0 game when St. C was loaded and went down against a very young Bellaire team. I think Jose Davis was a freshman. He scored the only touchdown.
It was a sophomore. Yeah, that was
his
first
first start.
That catapulted Bellaire. That was the first year they went to the postseason in the history of the school. They wound up playing Ursuline in that game up in Austintown. St. C has not been to the postseason. They went in 3-year intervals, 83, 86, 89, but have not been back in 11 years. Materkoski shoved out of bounds, and the clock stops. Materkoski to the 42. Third down and 5. St. C did what it wanted to do right there, is find a way to get the clock stopped without having to take a timeout. It's 14-7 Bellaire. This is a fairly enormous 3rd and 5. Materkoski is being pursued, runs away from the pursuit.
And he's lucky he didn't fumble. He did not get the 1st down.
No, but he managed to get a couple of yards. It looked like they had him backed up for a loss. Now what do you do if you're Bellaire? They kept him inbounds, so they had to burn the timeout. This is where Bellaire has a decision to make. Do you punt the football and take your chances that your defense can prevent St. C from moving the ball 70 or 80 or 90 yards perhaps? Or do you go for it on 4th down here and try to, whoa.
Yeah, heck of an effort by Materkoski, because Huston was back there. He was all over him. Udash was back there as well. And, well, I thought he got further than that. I thought he was within about a yard. So it's going to be 4th and...
a healthy 2.
Yeah, the scoreboard says 2. That's got to be 3. 4th and about 3. 2.5 minutes to go. So the Devils are going to get another shot at it if they can stop Bellaire on this 4th down play.
A lot of things to think about if you're Bellaire. If you punt, then you've got to worry about the block punt. And you also,